Thank you. Our next question is from David Caraviello of NASCAR.com. Please state your question.
Hey, Denny, looking back at Sunday, I don't think anybody questions now that Montoya was speeding, but I wonder from a driver's perspective, do you wish the pit road speeding penalties maybe weren't so punitive? I mean, you look at other sports and you lose maybe like 15 yards or 2 points in maybe a comparable situation where Juan was like taken completely out of the race by that. I mean, from a driver's perspective, do you wish there was another kind of penalty system in that situation so you weren't completely taken out of the running like he was?
Well, I think it took him out of the running because of where we were. We weren't at a racetrack where he could make up that. Indy is the toughest place to pass that we go to on our circuit. With the speeds of what they are, it's a one-groove racetrack. There's no doubt about that. These cars don't have any downforce, so when you get behind someone, you just can't go anywhere, and it's been proven. Yeah, you look at the lead changes and probably green flag passes at Indianapolis, it's less than any other racetrack. It's just so tough there. But any other racetrack, he wouldn't have been taken out of the race. Given, no matter what you do, if you have a penalty with 30 laps to go, you made your day right there. I mean, if he did it with 30 laps into the race, he probably could have still made it up and been a contender for a race win. But it happened so late in the race that no matter what you do or what kind of rule you try to implement, you're going to get taken out. It doesn't matter whether they penalize you 5 spots, 10 spots, or whatever. I think with the penalty is fair. They've got to set a black and white mark, which you can't go. And the problem is our race cars are so equal right now that nobody can pass, so they're trying to get every inch on pit road that they can to maybe beat one guy out of pit lane. Now, he had a 2-second lead, but that didn't mean that, or 5-second leads or whatever he had, that don't mean that the other car didn't beat him to pit road. So he was trying, I understand why he was pushing the limit. You always have to push the limit because we're trying to get everything we can, because on the racetrack we can only do so much. We don't have a car that can pass really well right now at that racetrack. But I think it's getting better, and NASCAR is definitely looking at what they can do to make it better, and eventually it's going to be better than what it was. But it's just when you have a penalty that late in the race, you choose your own fate.
Denny, thanks very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Our next question is from Brad Gilley of Performance Racing. Please state your question.
Thanks for taking the time today, Denny. You were talking earlier about how Hendrick right now is so strong in the Cup Series, but you guys, Joe Gibbs Racing, is super strong. Y'all are super strong in the Nationwide Series right now, and I know Kyle has said that the Toyota motor in the Truck and Nationwide Series is obviously the dominant motor, but is not able to be in the Cup Series. With the motors being so similar, why is that y'all can be so great in 2 of them, but not be the best also in the 3rd Series?
Well, I don't know, because I don't have a lot of experience. I'm probably not the best guy to ask. Those guys there's been through several different motor changes since I run Nationwide last, early in the year. But, I feel like our cars are just pretty good over there in the Nationwide Series. I don't think it's our motors that are better than everyone else. I think our cars are good. Dave and Jason over there, I mean, you look at those cars, look under the hood, look inside, it looks like a Cup car. They really spend a lot of time on the details of those race cars, and that's why they run so well. The problem with that is everyone has that stuff in the Cup Series because there's so much money in the Cup Series as far as the teams and sponsors are concerned. We're pretty fortunate with what we have as far as our sponsors in the Nationwide, so ultimately we're able to build new race cars and better race cars, lighter race cars. And I think that's the edge that really, we have over there. I don't necessarily think it's the motor, because I have run some Toyota stuff for Billy Blue in the Truck Series, and I really didn't think the motors were that much better than anyone else's.
And right now, you're pretty comfortable in points being 6, but Kyle just got bounced out of the top 12. He's 14th. Is there anything at all as a teammate that you could possibly do to help your teammate get in during these next 6 races?
Well, I think Kyle right now is figuring out, the things that he needs to do to finish races, and I think he's trying. He has stepped it down. He's not going all out like he did, I think, before. I think he's trying to finish as good as he can, but last week in particular, he just, the right front just wore out. Whether it's our cars or what have you, we're not sure what it is. There's not really much I can tell him. I mean, he does a really good job. He's got more raw speed than what I have, and you know, that's maybe why I don't get in as much trouble as what he does, is because I go a little bit slower and take things a little bit easier, especially on corner entry. I think he runs a little bit harder into the corners than what I do. But I mean, I think it's just you know, it's tough to say. Those guys are as deadly as anyone on the racetrack each and every week, as far as being able to contend for a win. But I think, you know, first they got to get in that chase, and it's going to have to just start with consistency and finishing races. And the same goes for us. I mean, when, you know, on paper it looks good that we're 6th, but I mean, I'm not comfortable at all with where we're at.
All right. Well, thanks. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Claire Lang of Sirius NASCAR Radio. Please state your question.
Thank you, Denny. Thanks for joining us today. And I wanted to ask you about Hendrick Motorsports. A lot of people calling today and talking about Hendrick's dominance and Hendrick, you know. And why do you think they're so strong? Is it management? Is it the satellite teams that they've added that have helped them resource-wise to provide even more information? They always had been sort of dominant, but now even more so. And from your perspective, what do you see that they've got?
Yeah, that's probably the best perspective I've seen someone have, Claire. That's pretty good work. But really, yeah, I think it's the satellite teams. They made their satellite team better in Stewart-Haas. So ultimately, they're getting better feedback. I can almost guarantee you that they probably used 0 notes from the 66 and 70 from last year or previous years. You know, but now we hear on the radio, you know, the 14 struggles or 39 struggles. They just say over the radio, hey, go get the notes from the 5. Find out what he's running. That is big, because, you know, for us, all I have is Joey and Kyle to kind of lean on. And our setups, you know, are basically driver tuned and whatnot. But it seems like whatever they have over there, it's working for them everywhere. You know, whether it be a front end settings or how they have their spring combinations, something like that. You know, their motors are very good. I feel like they're the best in the garage as far as the motors are concerned. I feel like their aerodynamics is a little bit better than everyone else right now. And their chassis, their aero platform is better than everyone's right now. And that's you put those 3 things together in a series where a 10th makes the difference between 10th and 30th, then that's why you see those guys running top 5 every single week, and they take up most of the top 5 positions. I mean, every now and then you get a Roush car sprinkled in there, me or Kyle in there somewhere, but for the most part, every single week you're fighting those same 5 race cars or 6 race cars for a race win. So, I mean, it's frustrating for the rest of the 36 or 7 of us, but it's up to us to work at it and get better.
Can you do that? Can you beat them if you don't have the satellite teams? And is that rule then not fair because you can't compete against them if they have the satellite teams that are that strong?
Well, originally NASCAR set a rule on how many cars you could have. But I think, you know, with like Roush and that whole Yates thing, that's a link together. When we had the Hall of Fame deal, that was, you know, a little bit of that. But those teams, the Hendrick teams and Stewart-Haas, seem to be working better together than any satellite team I've really seen. And believe me, Tony's done a good job of doing it on his own now too. I mean, they're developing stuff just as quick as Hendrick is, because they got just as good as drivers now. They got a lot of their personnel from there to come over. So I think, yeah, I mean, ultimately Hendrick has a 6-car team, and all of them run competitively pretty much. And when they do that, one finds a little advantage. They all get it, and then you are chasing every single one of them. It's just with no testing, I think it's going to be hard for any teams to really catch up to them until we figure it out on the racetrack. You know, hit on something at a tire test or something.
I appreciate it, Denny. It's always fun to watch you race at Pocono. Good luck this weekend, all right?
Thanks.